see exactly what they've got waiting for us.
First week of North America SCL, we're going to see a lot of interesting strategies between these teams. As you know, Season 4 is new. These teams are starting to adapt to the new meta, new items, different gods getting nerfed or buffed here and there. So already we're going to see typical bans thus far. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Sylvanas, Toth, is Nami Sarkat.
Could be Zeus here for Elevate. Baronic is on the team, though no longer in the middle lane. He's moving over to the jungle to replace the guy he's facing off against in the jungle. Chaotic Purpose leaves the team, and now he's going to be going up against his old squad right away here in week 1. And it is going to be Zeus. And now Dr. L is the mid laner for Elevate, the old solo laner. It's going to be a difficult transition, though we've seen Baskin have some success on the PC side.
That's true. Bannister has been struggling a little bit on that side. So it's interesting to see whenever somebody does make that switch. Solo to mid is not necessarily the easiest plug-and play. Normally, you're going from solo to hunter position because you're normally left alone. In the mid position, you're always holding hands with your jungler and even supporting those 2v2, 3-on-3s.
There's always a party in the middle lane, and everyone is invited. Erlong Shen going to be locked in alongside that. Zeus can provide some setup from a distance as well as some peel, as can Xing Chen. Going to be another game with Xing Chen. We're 3 for 3 so far in the console league here with Xing Chen. And Odin locked in for my guys. We talked about it last set, Toli. Wolves just loves to play Odin. He doesn't care what you've got. He doesn't care what he's got. He just wants to play Odin.
And between Brochacho and Wolves, this Odin and Ymir could be potentially flex pick depending on that solo lane matchup, but more than likely will go to Wolves because he's just so dominant with this god, and it's not a bad idea. Trying to really shut down this mid Zeus, making sure that Dr. L is not going to be comfortable in the early game because he already has really great peels on the side of Erlong Shen and Xing Chen.
Yeah, Elevate just needs to round this draft out with a little bit of damage. My guys, they've got a lot of damage between the Susano and the Ymir potentially, but they need a little bit more lockdown. That's exactly what they're drafting with this Isis for Covey in the middle lane. We saw Covey play this in relegations. This seems to be a strategy that my guys really like to employ. Early pressure and big CC capability.
A lot of offensive tools coming out of my guys. Chaotic Purpose playing the Susanoo. We're going to see Isis in the mid lane paired up with that aggression, and it's going to be making Dr. L very uncomfortable on the Zeus. But you're going to fight fire with fire. You know, Susanoo on the side of my guys, Naja on the side of Elevate. There's going to be a lot of damage for both teams.
Quite a bit. Going to be have to look at Baronic in that jungle role with that Naja. How can he perform with the squishy assassin? Neath going to be the final selection for Transonics in that duo lane. Again, it's all about this control for my guys' draft. And Elevate, they've got to be wary of that and understand that they've got a couple of very immobile characters in Zeus and Naja, and a control composition like this for my guys could spell a lot of trouble for those.
When was the last time you saw Transonics play Neath in the duel lane?
It's been a little bit. He really likes these hyper carries overall.
That's
but
what I thought.
He likes to win more than anything else, and with a guy like Brochacho on your team, he's constantly telling you, you know, this is all we got to do, we'll be good. Transonics can play it all. That's the other thing, though. Like, even if I haven't seen him on Neath in quite some time, my man can play any single character in the hunter role. He's proved it time and time again, and I'm sure he's going to look comfortable.
Every time I've seen him, he's always been playing these flashy hunters, trying to outplay his opponent in the 1v1, but trying to synergize a little bit more between Chaotic Purpose and Covey, making sure that, you know, the focus for my guys is going to be targeting Dr. L, and that's why we see Transonics with this Neath. They're going to be firing those World Weavers consistently from the dual lane into mid.
We finally get to see, Toli, the SCL debut of the infamous Michael Checo, the hunter for Elevate. You may be saying, but Aggro, I've heard his name so much. Why, this is really his debut? Yes, it's because every other team just names themselves after Michael Checo, and now we actually get to see the player perform.
Michael Checo, you know, he does have a good name, but it's not as good as Mark Maloney. You know, I made a Twitter poll about that. He just came up just shy, about 4% difference. But look at this. We're already seeing an invade coming out of my guys. Michael Checo left alone in the duel lane because we're going to see a little bit of aggression here from Elevate trying to invade the blue.
Very surprising that we do see Brochacho piloting that Odin. It isn't going to Wolves, and it is going to be Wolves with that Guardian v Guardian matchup. We saw this exact matchup last time around in the last set. I believe it was Medieval playing that Xing Chen and Nikwid piloting the Ymir. Just kind of a slap fight in that solo lane until they rotate and try and make an impact in the team fight.
It's risky to play Odin in the solo against Xing Chen because the fact that you could also, once you commit to your bird bomb jump combination, you're going to get a lot of damage in return. We're going to see the Furious Roar come out, and once Delny hits level 5, he's going to find that washing machine into the tower, so has to be really careful, which is why we see Wolves playing that Guardian. So that's going to transition both of these solo laners into a good spot in the mid-game team fights.
Delny may not be a name that many of you recognize. That's because he did have a name change. He was previously known as McWaffles, the solo laner for last season's Elevate squad, not this squad, but the old Elevate roster, alongside Keegs and Jumpa and those guys along there. So new team for him. So the old Aware team now underneath Elevate. 3 names that are still the same. You've still got Dr. L and Baronic and Kenshin, but 2 of those guys have changed roles, and then the 2 new additions as well.
So lane, a lot of action. Both challengers making their appearance known, but it's actually Baronic in a lot of trouble, having to go under his own tier 1 tower. Wolves not able to connect that ice carpet.
And Chaotic Purpose just there at the right time, doing plenty of damage. Susano, one of Chaotic Purpose's greatest characters. We saw him pilot it in that relegation process, and he just ran things with it. He had an unbelievable scoreline through the 2 games that my guys needed in the relegations.
Chaotic Purpose still looking for a little bit more. Baronic has to be really mindful. Nice little wall here. Going to get pulled out of the tower, but a nice knockup from Delny is going to prevent the freeze, but it didn't matter.
The Bluestone Pendant is enough for Chaotic Purpose to pick up that first blood on his former mid laner. Baronic falls to the hands of the Susano jungle. Covey taking a lot of damage in that middle lane as well. Kenshin couldn't quite find that return kill for Elevate.
1v2 actually in the mid lane. This is the one advantage that a warrior support can do. We've seen some Hercules supports in the SPL, but this time around it's going to be that Erlong Shen for Kenshin. He's been able to make the rotations and make Covey feel really uncomfortable here. It's going to alleviate a little bit of pressure for Dr. L.
Oh, the pull, the bird bomb, and Dr. L never even gets a chance to pull the trucker horn. He's going to fall. Chaotic Purpose making it happen yet again in the middle lane.
And this is why you're going to need wards around these mid-harpy corners, because Susanoo, this is the whole goal of Susanoo jungle. You're going to go from around the corner, look to jet stream into the mid lane, and then just pull the mid laner out of position, especially a god like Zeus that doesn't have a natural escape. It's so easy to do so, and then follow up with every single ability in the game.
Plus, it's so difficult for a character like Zeus to really punish Susanoo for doing that, because most of his abilities take a long time to really fire off. I mean, the shield throw into the chain lightning, Susanoo could get his entire Stormkata off and dash out of there before you got any chance to respond.
And that's going to be very problematic for Elevate. They need to get the wards in those key positions. And not only that, they're also going to have to worry about Transonics, that World Weaver ultimate that could be fired at any single moment. Sitting at level 7 currently with the red buff, finished with the Warrior Tabby, that physical power is going to help because of the scaling off of that ability.
Would it be worth it for Dr. L to go for something like a Mark with a Vanguard after his boots? We saw a mid laner go for it earlier on. Oh, he's going to be in trouble here in this cage, but it's only Brochacho here until the World Weaver and the long-range Spirit Ball were able to confirm that kill. Welcome to the middle lane, Dr. L. You eat a bunch of abilities as soon as you step a little bit out of position, already with 2 deaths early on.
Transonics highlighting why that Neith, being more of a utility-style hunter, is so prevalent to supporting the rest of his teammates just to focus out this mid laner from Elevate. 2nd death already on the side of Dr. L. Sitting at level 5 here, Covey sitting at 6, almost level 7 though, but now in the mid lane, more action. Chaotic Purpose wants blood.
Baronic's gonna fall yet again. A nice knock up there from Kenshin, gonna guarantee a little bit more damage on the Chaotic Purpose, but the meditation from Brochacho is gonna be off cooldown soon enough, which means that poke is probably gonna stay fairly irrelevant. Oh, the knock of the Typhoon. They're going for Dr. L.
Again.
The Circle of Protection as well. Not even his tower is safe, Tony.
Not again, screaming is Dr. L as he dies for the 3rd time. 5 minutes in. Nice solo kill from Wolves onto Delny as well. You can clearly tell that he's very comfortable with this matchup, Guardian versus Guardian, favoring Ymir at this stage because his base damage off of the abilities is just superior, which is why he goes into the shoes of the Magi. Normally you see a lot of Xing Chans go into the cooldown boots, trying to be more spam oriented, that Furious Roar. You get that off multiple times. That's where your damage truly comes from.
And my guys, I mean, they just look unbelievable here early on. Their SCL debut. Again, none of these guys are making their SCL debut totally because they've all been in the league previously, but as a team, they look phenomenal. Kenshin just able to escape the grasps of that cage. Kobe had to take a little bit of damage from that ring toss as well, but I mean, We saw my guys during relegations, and they always had these amazing individual plays. They're making flashy plays by themselves, maybe with another player. But this looks like a team that has finally started to gel together as a unit.
They're feeling very confident, even so confident that they're able to try to look for a play onto the support in the mid lane by himself. Not able to connect to the cage, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to be a little difficult to really lock down Kenshin because of those reinforced greaves. And you were asking me a question earlier on about Dr. L trying to go for that Mark of the Vanguard. I would like to see him also go for this reinforced greaves option just to be able to survive a little bit longer. Maybe with that Dynasty plate helmet, he'd be able to survive the initial burst coming out of Chaotic Purpose, and as long as his teammate is in position to peel a little bit longer, then they can at least find some return kills, because I'm expecting Dr. L to still get focused very heavily here.
Yeah, I asked the question because of how many bluestone pendants we see on the side of my guys and how potent that is to poking down. I mean, we see Chaotic Purpose pick up the first blood because of that, and Mark of the Vanguard does such a great job up against something like Bluestone Pendant, but you're right, the Reinforced Greaves fills that exact same role, stacks up that passive, and knocks down that damage that Bluestone's going to really do to you.
And it's not only the Bluestone, you also have to worry about the Jet Stream coming out of Chaotic Purpose. That's going to take a couple of times as well. Good job by my guys, alleviating more of an advantage that they have, being able to invade that blue buff. 7.5 minutes into the game, Michael Checo, though, he's one level behind Transonics, but he's been doing a decent job in terms of just sitting in lane. He's trying to finish off this Transcendent stacks, and then once that gets online, we're going to see some of his rotations start taking into effect.
Both players right around the same spot in their build. Both have boots, both have Transcendence. Though a little bit surprised to see Michael Checo go for the Death's Toll. We've seen quite a bit of Medusa on both the Console League and the Pro League early on in Season 4, and I believe every other Medusa but Checo has gone for Bluestone Pendant, trying to augment that early clear, as well as the fact that it applies on your Viper shots, your first ability as well, giving you some excellent quick burst damage.
And on top of this, you're also looking for a little bit of extra health from that Death's Toll, making sure that you survive the burst damage. Nice job from Checo, being able to wiggle his way fast enough away from the cage from El Bertacho. That's 2 cages in a row. He hasn't been able to really lock down his target, but still not the end of the world for my guys. Off of that, they're still up 3,000 gold.
The CC potential onto Michael Checo is pretty potent, considering he's gone for Aegis instead of Purification Beads. Got to be wary of that. Taunt on to Chaotic Purpose into the knockup. The Lightning Storm from Dr. L, just not where you want it. Transonics was looking for that Spirit Arrow. Couldn't quite find it, as both Baronic and Dr. L are able to sneak out quickly, but that's a lot of pressure gained. 2 ultimates down on the side of Elevate, and those are 2 big ones, totally, the Taunt and the Lightning Storm. As a result, my guys starting up this Gold Fury, though could just be looking for the Oracles as they seem to be backing up.
And they're also going to be able to win this team fight convincingly as long as Covey gets off a good circle of protection. Nice little root. Baronic taking one into the sky, but landing is going to be some Chain Lightning.
He's going to be waiting for him. Circle protection, drop down, and Covey blows it up, and Baronic along with it. Kenshin, nowhere for him to go. 2 for the way of my guys. 8-0. They lead in kills. Brochato going to eat a little bit of damage from that Chain Lightning, but not enough for Dr. L to confirm that kill. Still hasn't finished off his boots. We're 9 minutes in. Dr. L still only sitting on boots 2.
Unfortunately for Dr. L, he's just been getting pressured too much. Transonics, though, taking a lot of damage, forced into the back flip.
Too early!
Checo mistimes his ultimate. This is the one advantage of Medusa against Neith. You can actually petrify her during the backflip as long as you time it correctly.
But he didn't. But Checo just didn't time it correctly, and as a result, Transonics is scot-free. That could have been a big kill Elevate's away. They need some lane to start getting a little bit of a lead, and that could have been the lead for them in the duo lane, but Michael Checo just couldn't quite find the petrify. 8-0, my guys still in the lead, up about 4,000 gold, 3,600. But even more concerning than that, 5K experience.
And most of this is from Dr. L getting the focus fire from my guys, being down so many levels here to Covey, just now finishing off his Shoes of the Magi, surprisingly enough, not electing to go for that defensive option quite yet, considering he's been focused every single time. Already 2 levels behind. He does have 2 wards in his inventory, but he's not electing to position them on the right side minimap quite yet.
I mean, it's just not a whole lot of pressure overall on the map right now for Elevate, and that's a problem. I mean, you draft Zeus for pressure in the middle lane, but my guys counters with Isis, one of the only gods that can actually out-pressure Zeus. at the level 1 wave clear. Really, really great drafting phase for my guys, understanding exactly what Elevate wants to do and drafting to counter that.
Ooh, Dr. L, he dropped that ward earlier on, but gets instantly sentry warded by my guys. They really want to put more pressure onto Dr. L. So controlling those little corners for my guys is going to allow them to position themselves that aggressively around the corners. Brochacho looking to maybe find a cage here, but with Covey clearing out mid, the rest of my guys are going to look for the left-hand side.
3-level deficit right now for Dr. L. Bronic caged in, nowhere for him to go. Finds a sash on a chaotic purpose, but the spirit ball over the wall confirms the kill on Covey. 4 kills already for this mid lane Isis. It's been a part of 7 of the 9 kills for my guys, and they've played around him so well, particularly around that long-range spirit ball.
It's very important for my guys to get off to this early start between the Susanoo and the Isis, and they've been able to do so quite brilliantly. Left-hand side, just clearing out some waves. Mid, though, a lot of action.
Dr. L barely even gets his ult off, and even if he does, it doesn't do any damage whatsoever. Chaotic Purpose abusing the mid laner once more. The new jungle mid combination for Elevate, a combined 0 and 8.
Yes, that's just really something devastating that you need to work on heading into the future of the SCL. You know, it's still only week number 1. You're up against a very strong team coming out of my guys. All these players, you can list them, and they can easily be the first team heading into next year's Worlds if they can keep playing like this.
Yeah, really excited to see how they match up against teams like Obey. That's been the defending world champions. That's, of course, the favorites right now early on, but my guys certainly making a case for their spot atop the SMITE Console League. Portal Demon goes down in their favor. A little bit surprised we haven't seen them try and pull a Gold Fury quite yet, Toli.
They're playing it very slow and calculated. The Portal Demon is still worth 150 gold per player, so it's not a bad idea to not overextend too far with the Gold Fury, especially when you don't have the Isis ultimate available for the secure. And if you find any kills around that tier 1 mid tower, you find the kills, you're going to kill the Gold Fury, you're going to kill the Portal Demon a little bit quicker and get back to the lane faster. So you still have opportunities now without this tier 1 tower for Elevate to apply more pressure if you're my guys, and then look for the Gold Fury anyway.
And still, it's clearly been working for them because they've got quite a lead. 5,000 gold at the 13-minute mark, and that experience difference isn't getting any healthier for Elevate. Still down about 6,500 experience right now. With that middle tier 1 tower gone, that may open the door for this Gold Fury to be looked at by my guys. A little bit of a knock-up there onto Transonics. It's not often you see the Hunter being the one zoning away the enemy team from the Gold Fury, but that's his role right now. Elevate cannot afford to give this Gold Fury up, but it's going to be so difficult for them to fight into it with this deficit.
Nice ring bounce from Baronic, slowing down everybody from my guys, but Kenshin going to get stuck in that Odin cage. We see Isis circle protection as well, getting into the sky from the Naja. Chaotic Purpose could be dead here.
He is there. Finally Elevate's on the board. Petrify onto Brochacho taking quite a bit of damage, but Wolves is here. And Wolves is level 15. Elevate immediately turn tail and run. A little bit of a botched engagement there, I would say, from my guys. Kenshin's not the guy you want to be investing Circle of Protection into with a Gold Fury potentially still up.
And the timing of starting the Gold Fury was a little awkward as well, because we did see the rotation from Transonics underneath the Gold Fury instead of being the initial person to start up the Gold Fury. You normally want your Hunter there with your Isis mid laner to be able to drop that circle protection as it's going to drop low. You're also mitigating a lot of damage. Nice little freeze onto Dr. L. He has nowhere really to go here. A lot of time here. The wall is maxed out.
A lot of damage there onto Dr. L. And he will fall to the Bird Bomb from Brochacho. Wolves didn't have any mana, and it didn't even matter. 2 men picked up by Whirlwind of Rage and Steel into a nice little ring bounce from Baronic, but just not enough damage to be relevant. Only level 11, 0, 4, and 1. But he's the one who set up that lone kill for Elevate so far with a nice ultimate onto Chaotic Purpose.
And despite those 5 deaths on the side of Dr. L, he was the one that was credited for that kill that Baronic set him up. Now working on more of a utility-based style. Probably going to be going into that Ethereal Staff. I highly doubt it's going to be the Gem of Isolation here. It's going to be... He does have the Dynasty Plate Helmet finished quite now, so he has a little bit more penetration, but he is level 10. Still struggling.
Kenshin blocked off and immediately erased. There's the Typhoon. Shards of Ice. Chaotic Purpose able to pick him up. He's got 4 kills, matching his mid laner in Covey. Kenshin just not at the right spot there. Cannot be all by himself in the jungle. That's no longer Elevate's jungle. That's just my guys' extra jungle.
Absolutely. So you're going to need to make sure that if the right side is being controlled by my guys, if you're Elevate, you have to apply more pressure onto Transonics on the left, maybe even sneak out the Gold Fury. It's pretty difficult here for a Neve to be able to out-steal the Gold Fury. If you're on the side of Medusa, obviously, as long as you have the ultimate here from Dr. L and Michael Checo, that could be the key to them slowly getting back into this game.
Yeah, there's very little ward coverage from my guys on the left-hand side. The only ward I see is down by that where Kenshin is about to walk, and then by the purple buff as well. Kind of surprised we don't see Elevate try and make something happen, but they've just been so far behind all game that I feel like they've been kind of conditioned to make sure that they aren't allowed to try and make anything happen. They've just been so far behind. 5 members from my guys are grouped up around this Gold Fury, but with Chaotic Purpose backing, trying to finish off a little bit of a power spike there and get some sentry wards, they do want to start controlling that ward vision on the left side.
Between different timings, between you having a huge gold and experience deficit compared to what time it is into the game, that's what you're really looking forward to. Because right now, 16 minutes into the game with this kind of a deficit for Elevate, it makes it more difficult to try to look for the Gold Fury plays. If this was a deficit that happened maybe 10 minutes down the road at 25 minutes or higher, you could still play with this deficit and look for the Gold Fury plays. As long as you have those 4 or 5 items completed, you'll have the damage necessary to be able to sneak these objectives.
Wolves looking for Michael Checo. The walls have been beautiful from him thus far, but just cannot quite get in range of that slippery snake thanks to the movement speed from Vitalis. Baronic, he's caught in the cage. World Weaver, Spirit Ball gone. Covey knocks him off the map. Typhoon popped there by Chaotic Purpose. Dr. L is knocked up. A little bit of damage from that lightning storm, but a well-timed shell immunes a lot of the damage from the detonate. Checo has to dash away from that bird bomb. Now Brochacho could be in trouble immediately into the Petrify, but a long-range Spirit Ball yet again from Covey. Wall from Wolves. Circle of protection. Shards of ice. Nowhere for Delny to go. Another is going to fall. 3 dead on the side of Elevate. My guys just dominating this game.
And that's going to be the Gold Fury immediately looked on after those 3 kills, not even sacrificing anybody in return. It was a great use of the Meditates and the Shell from my guys, making sure that they weren't going to take too much damage. The rotation coming on the side of Wolves with these walls have just been phenomenal. Going for this teamfight relic on the side of Shell is very surprising for a Ymir Guardian as opposed to initiating with the Blink instead.
And you saw that he wasn't able to get the kill onto Michael Checo early on in that engagement because of the lack of blink. Maybe if he has it, can blink, wall him off by his own purple buff. But it ends up paying some dividends because of that shell on the detonate, like you mentioned, Toli. And this Witchblade pickup for him here. A little bit interested to see this. Why do you think we see it on Wolves in this scenario? Because there isn't a whole lot of healing for Elevate. It's really only the HP 5 off Delny and the burst heal off a Flaming Spear for Baronic.
It's also reducing a little bit of the attack speed, trying to make sure that Kenshin is not going to be doing too much in these team fights along with Baronic. That's not a bad idea to invest into this kind of an item. It's still relatively cost effective still at about 2,200 gold. So this is why we see this Guardian pick it up.
And you can see a little bit of a curious build from Brochacho as well. He's always trying to test the limits and see what he wants to build in these scenarios. Gauntlet of Thebes giving 30 protections of each to the rest of his team, as well as a big boost of health for himself. And then into the Spectral Armor, that's looking to make sure that if Baronic finds him with the Sash, he'd actually get feared away instead of being able to follow up with a guaranteed Windfire
Which
wheels.
is a nice idea, making sure that Baronic is not going to be useful, already being able to shut him down so well. Delny is going to find a pull onto Brochacho, but a nice little jump away. He still has the cage available if he wants to use that defensively, and with such a short cooldown, with Gold Fury down, with the Portal Demon down, it wouldn't be a bad idea for that to happen.
Just so little penetration available for Elevate to punch through that raw HP and protection that Brochacho has, even with that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and even though he was all by himself, didn't end up mattering. Baronic, he's gonna get caught off, immediately jumped up into the sky with Chaotic Purpose, but it's not gonna be quite enough damage to finish him off as Covey locks down his 6th kill. My guys, again, just using their ward coverage, and Covey so on point with his Isis. He's had an unbelievable game.
My guys is just choking Elevate out here. They're not giving them any room to breathe. They can't even walk past like their imaginary tier 1 tower line that used to exist in the mid lane. They've been able to control so much space control between this Ymir on Wolves and Odin for Brochacho. Like we mentioned, that was a great flex pick. Kenshin, though, getting caught out yet again. He's slow.
Whoa.
Turtle pulled back in. It's going to be another quick kill here. Kenshin's going to fall, and now it's going to be Delny trying to escape.
Trying to get up over that wall, and he will do so. Dr. L is just terrified of walking into that jungle, and honestly, I don't blame him. Every time he's walked anywhere, my guys have jumped all over him. Doesn't want to get to that 6 death column, and a quick
wow.
F6 from Elevate. I can't say I blame him, Tolly. In game 1,